I had done this millions of times. And so now I know I was also doing healing like this in many lifetimes before this, move out denser energetic patterns that are stored in our energy bodies and our physical body. It really just shows myself and others the true power that each one of us holds and the ways that we can direct our energy to create better outcomes in our life, all levels, physical, spiritual, mental.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the new Being Hypnosis channel. My name is Troy J. Bacon. I specialize in tinnitus hypnotherapy and trauma healing. I offer a 7-week course just for tinnitus therapy. I also work with complex trauma survivors. Complex trauma is usually very deep and demonstrates multiple symptoms of PTSD. I've ended up specializing in helping people work through that, accept it, break through their blockages, heal and forgive, and get to a state of learning to move on with their life, to live a beautiful, meaningful life aligned with their life purpose, their soul's purpose once again. And today we are joined with Derrick Ivey for the next episode of Quantum Credo Corner Interviews, where I interview some remarkable healing practitioners. Derrick, I've known for quite some time. One of our friends got us in touch with each other, and we're both Reiki practitioners, both hypnotists too. And he is a spiritual hypnotist. We've learned different styles, but really it's all pretty similar. We both work in the quantum realm. And his practice is called DG2 Wellness. Derrick, how about you start by telling me a little bit about yourself and how you got started?
Yeah, Troy and have very similar approaches, I feel, to just life and business and healing. So it's always a treat to be on your channel, Troy. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's always a pleasure to talk with you, Derrick. We definitely do seem to have a lot in common. I noticed too that like on social media and in our lives, it seems like even though we're states apart, um, we seem to synchronize somehow. I think that maybe we're in the same soul family in a way.
I
Um,
would agree.
so I'd like to start this interview kind of getting into how you got started with learning Reiki and hypnosis and how you started your journey.
Yeah, so it's been a journey, that's for sure. It's been, I when I was growing up, I didn't think of myself as really a spiritual person. I didn't have any necessarily spiritual beliefs. When I grew up, I think our family went to church, but it was never something that I was really interested in. And it was really life circumstances that brought me onto the spiritual path. And if you would have asked me several years ago if I would be doing spiritual hypnotherapy and energy healing, I would have probably said no, just because I hadn't seen that part of my path at that point. So for me, it was a lot of pain that brought me onto this path. Um, I went through a lot of addiction when I was like age 16 to 21. Like as soon as I found alcohol and drugs, I just went crazy into it. It brought me into a really, really low place. And that's what opened me up to being open to spirituality. And I knew that if I was going to keep surviving and thriving, that I was going to have to find a way to get sober and get clean and get my life together. And that's what opened me up to spirituality. And one of my friends was very much into Buddhism and insight Vipassana meditation. So that was my start into spirituality in my 20s. I meditated for hundreds and hundreds of hours because I had found something in meditation that gave me the sense of perspective and this knowing that everything was going to be okay. It's like I just had that knowing. And so I practiced meditation for a while, not really thinking about doing this type of work. Um, but it became a huge part of my life. And during that time, I went to a community college for an associate's in psychology. I took coursework for addiction counseling. And the further I got into that path, the more I realized like the reason I was drawn to that is because I wanted to help other people. But there was something not resonating on that path of psychology and traditional and conventional counseling. So that's what led me to hypnotherapy school. And I went to hypnotherapy school here in Colorado. And once I got into that and started practicing, started seeing some clients, it became very, very apparent like the universe picked me up and put me in this work. And it just felt so flowful. It felt so, I knew it was making such a deep difference in people's lives. Um, and I was also taking myself into these really deep trance states. I was connecting with a lot of different beings in the causal realm. I was connecting with my own higher self energy. And then that eventually guided me into Reiki. And within a couple of years, I was attuned to all levels of Reiki, became a Reiki master teacher. And it was actually just to speak on synchronicities of the universe. I was a hypnotherapist first before I did the Reiki, but meditation was always part of my background, and I always felt pulled to Reiki. But I started seeing it more and more, and I think a lot of people, I don't know, probably even you, Troy, can relate to this, like where the Reiki finds you instead of the other way around. So I was getting acupuncture done, and my acupuncturist ended up being a Reiki master teacher. And within a week, I was taking my level one. And as soon as I started doing the Reiki and mixing that with the things that I learned in the hypnotherapy school, it just opened up this huge hunger for more learning and for sharing these gifts with our planet. And so I guess, that kind of sums it up, but there's so many different roads this journey goes down and winding roads and things of that nature.
Yeah, definitely. There's really, yeah, there's a lot of ways that hypnosis and Reiki can be applied to each individual. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, definitely. Just a little bit on that. My hypnotherapy school, HMI, um, teaches like dozens and dozens, I don't know how many, a lot of different modalities in its training course.
Mm-hmm.
Each their sister organization, the AHA, can also certify each student in. Um, but yeah, there's practically no limit to what Reiki and hypnosis can be used for medically and psychologically, spiritually. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, that's why a lot of doctors of different sorts, medical doctors as well as doctors of psychology and other sorts, also have certifications in hypnosis and Reiki,
Mm-hmm.
and they're very effective. They do blend well together. But so I wanted to ask you if there's like a big challenge, and what that was, to really drive you into this. If it was kind of like a tower card moment, in the tarot, or
Yeah.
something that like broke you and really made you need to heal.
So, like I said earlier, I think the addiction was a huge piece to that. Um, and that's what pushed me onto the spiritual path. But then the more I got into the spiritual path and so yeah, I absolutely, to answer your question, I think it was the pain of working at jobs that really were not in resonance with what I knew I was supposed to be doing. Because when I wasn't at work, I was meditating or I was doing hypnosis or doing Reiki, and like I was in these really high states of consciousness. It felt amazing. And then I would go back into try to put myself in a box at a corporate job. And oh my gosh, it was torture. Like, because that it was like these parts of myself fighting with each other. And I think that pushed me quicker than, because at the time there was still a lot of fear programs that I have moved through since then, but I was stuck in these fear patterns, like thinking that the universe was not going to take care of me if I didn't work at a corporate job and have benefits and make it however much an hour and all that. And but it was so painful to get through the day, and I just it felt literally like I was losing my mind. And at the time, I kind of had an idea that that's what was happening, but I couldn't see that. I could see I was in a cage, but I couldn't see that I was in a cage with the door open. And so that resistance and that contrast pushed me closer and closer to the edge. And then I met my edge, and I was working at this failing radiology practice, really what textbooks would call abusive management. And I got reached my edge. I left that job and I was trying to get other jobs. My small human self was trying to get other jobs and remote jobs and things of that nature. But as luck would have it, no one would hire me for whatever reason. And I had to make this work. And now it's been a beautiful journey. But I think that was the main catalyst, was doing this spiritual work, getting to those levels of consciousness, and then getting knocked out of them in those jobs, which I needed to be there at those times. to learn certain lessons, but yeah, it was very transformative.
Yeah, it sounds like that. It sounds like it. I think a lot of what we might call light workers and healers and um,
Hmm.
old souls. There are lots of names. I have to be careful with labels and names, but a lot of us go through that type of journey. Of course, this world is run by mostly various types of jobs and industries, and so that's fine.
Yeah,
There's nothing wrong with actually working in some of them, and we
right.
still all need money to get to where we need. But yeah, I think that's very normal to go through that kind of alchemical journey of being small and what I call insubordinated, um,
Yeah.
basically doing the some of the what could be dirty work sometimes, um, uh, being closely supervised and under a manager and such. Um, and we all
Hmm.
start that way. I've done that, but yeah, then as healers, it does seem that, especially with Reiki, what my Reiki teacher has taught me is that then it's best that after we really start working with people, we really have our own practice. It has to be us, our own authentic and um, not
Yeah.
owned and distorted and diluted and managed by someone else and someone who doesn't understand it. And yeah, that's how it works.
Yeah.
I also wanted to ask you a bit about the hypnosis and Reiki. Let's start with hypnosis a
Hmm.
bit because that's kind of how what you did first and me too. So my question is, what what is that useful for, and what are the effects of it for you, and how do you benefit, and what did you heal first, perhaps?
Yeah. So, geez, I've grown so much since I have had hypnosis and Reiki and EFT tapping and all these modalities in my life. Um, for me, there was before hypnosis was in my life, there was a lot of just not trusting life, not trusting my own intuition. And I think for me, what hypnosis and energy healing has unlocked more than anything is the trust in my own intuition and the trust in that everything is happening for us and that we're exactly where we're supposed to be and that we're divinely guided. It's like I've literally been shown all of these things through these deep trance states and in these energy healing sessions. I've been shown where energy lived in my body that was holding me back, that was causing disease processes. I've healed in myself using hypnosis a lot of confidence issues. You know, I wouldn't be here talking to you right now, Troy, if I wouldn't have done the shadow work through hypnosis to get past these limiting beliefs that I had about myself and about life because I used to be a lot more of a shy and reserved person, and I'm still an introvert. I'm still, you know, I connect with the people I connect with, but it's really opened me up and just made me open and loving to life's experiences. And there's been some really cathartic journeys that I've been on in hypnosis that have really like shifted my way of seeing myself and the world. Like there's some times that I was bullied as a younger person, and those things really cut deep for a long time and they really made me self-conscious. And now it's like I don't see them that way. I see them as more beautiful things and myself as a beautiful being. And before, it's like I let those bullies' voices from long ago dictate how I lived my life. And I used to care what other people thought about me. And I know now that I'm connected to a much higher purpose, that the reason I do what I do is for the collective and to help other people up. And so they don't have to live in that fear and that distorted reality. But I've used hypnosis for, you name it. I've, in the years that I've been doing this full time, I've seen hundreds of clients, help people with everything from quitting smoking, losing weight, which are kind of the hallmark things that up until this point, as hypnosis has been really widely known for. But I've helped people recover from trauma. I've helped people reclaim things, rewrite soul contracts from past lifetimes. I've helped people all kinds of, just basically any time that you are feeling a discord between yourself and your higher self and you feel like there's something in between that, this stuff will work beautifully to find what's in between, alchemize that energy, because everything is energy, everything is transformable. So we're really able to help people on the deepest levels with this work.
Precisely, yeah. Definitely a lot of what you said lines up with my experience.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to do self-hypnosis almost every day, for months, when I was really getting into this and after I graduated.
Same.
And yeah, I got so deep into it that when I would go into my inner landscape, as I call it, it felt sometimes very physical and real, like a whole nother world I step
Yeah.
into. And but it has its own intelligence, kind of like a dream world. I
Oh
think that
yeah.
really is a type of dream world. They kind of are the same, but I would be
Mm-hmm.
shown objects and things, like a giant black tree stump and just a gnarled black mass. And I would inquire about
Mm-hmm.
what those are and what they mean and represent. And then my subconscious and guidance would explain what they are and what they are in me. And uh,
Yeah.
then I would heal and work with them and alchemize them. And yeah, those are parts of myself I really had to work on. So hypnosis is quite profound and amazing for that type of work. But I recall seeing in the past, I believe it was on one of your Facebook posts, that you also have helped conditions such as women who had trouble conceiving. And then
Yes.
I've heard of this. I think it's called hypnobirthing, as I've heard it clinically. The hypnotist specializes in this, or who knows how to do this, then can literally help a woman who seems to be infertile conceive a baby, usually within weeks or
Absolutely.
months. Yeah.
Yes.
So those are some of the more miraculous, I would say, results of hypnotherapy.
Oh
Um,
yeah. And I've had, you know, in that area, I've helped several souls come into this realm through hypnosis. But the level of profound results, you know, I've seen people totally heal a physical condition, bring souls in when they thought they were unable to. Just the wildest synchronicities happening for people during and after the sessions. And absolutely, you were talking about that world that we're in, and it's, yeah, there's so many things that are there for us at all times to help us guide us, but we may not know that that's what they're there for or what that means. But I
Yeah,
think the more anyone practices hypnosis or self hypnosis and really has that openness to getting those signs and getting those messages, then it will happen. It's not like it's only available for certain people. It's like this is available for anyone who wants it.
yeah,
And I always say it's not necessarily for people who need it, but for those who really want it.
yeah. I just want to make a quick note about hypnosis, and it's so real, this dimensional work in hypnosis, that
Hmm.
I had to learn the crucial importance of breaking and clearing the energy between each client. Because one time when I was doing phone sessions a lot, I worked with one client who was a former secret space program and military mind control abuse survivor. And she had a
Hmm.
lot of interesting, crazy stuff and beings contacting him and with
Oh,
him.
wow.
And yeah, I helped him. But then after our session, I had another client, I think within an hour after that. And then when I started the session with the other client, we went into her inner landscape. And when we did, she said that it was all ruined and like it had been ransacked and destroyed.
Yeah.
Um, and so that was actually because one of the more trickster or malevolent beings from the previous client, I guess, had hitched a ride, come through in our session without me knowing, and then possibly within minutes or who knows when, was able to enter the next client's inner landscape and destroy it. And so then it's because of that that we had to take the second client to another landscape that she actually has visited on Earth in this realm, very sacred place. And so then we set up powerful protective barrier in there, and she never had interference there. But yeah, um, I'm sure you've learned this, but you've got to always break and clear and lighten the
Oh,
energy
yeah.
between clients. Otherwise, things can bleed over, bleed through.
Absolutely. And yeah, that was one of those things that I kind of learned the hard way at my first year of doing this work is how important that is to be in my own center and to stay grounded and to do those precautions. And yeah, it's like these places like what you described with your client, it's like that sacred space that actually does exist in that realm. So it is subject to a lot of different energies coming at it. And so, yeah, that was one thing I learned also is like I have to clear any energy out I might have that might have leaked into my energy field from my clients, and also clean any of my energy out of their field that might have leaked in because, yeah, we just want to work in the most clear and solid spaces possible. Um, or I guess I don't know how to phrase it, but you know what I mean. Just we need to work in the most clarity that we possibly can and be mindful of that. And I also have learned like what a supreme honor it is to be trusted to hold this space for people. So I'm always looking out as to how I can keep this the safest and most conducive to healing as possible space for each and every client.
Definitely. Next, I want to move into a conversation about Reiki. And
Okay.
a lot of people still don't understand Reiki. Of course, it's kind of a popular practice, and sometimes the name gets thrown around there, but a lot of people don't actually understand what it is and what it can do for people. So perhaps I could
Mm,
get your take on what Reiki is, how it has helped you heal and helped you heal others, and what it can actually do for people on different levels.
yeah, that's a great one. So yeah, Reiki, it's yeah, it's growing in popularity. That there's no question about that. I think that that's a good thing because more and more people are becoming aware of more options that are at their disposal to utilize. And the thing about Reiki for me is when I started practicing it, I realized how I had already been working with energy my whole life. And when I learned how to do the Reiki, it kind of put everything into words. It was almost like a remembering. I don't know if that was your experience, Troy, when you learned, was if it was kind of like a remembering, but that's how it was for me. And the first Reiki session I ever did, it felt like I had done this millions of times. And so now I know I was also doing healing like this in many lifetimes before this. And I think for me, what Reiki is most valuable at doing is it's more than an energy healing modality. It's a way of living. You know, we look at the Reiki precepts and just for today, I will not anger. Just for today, I will be thankful. Just for today, I will be kind to every living being. And there's a couple more, but those are very good guidelines of how to live. Reiki really teaches me and my clients and students balance, and it teaches energy exchange, and it does it all without saying a word. Um, and it has the power to move out denser energetic patterns that are stored in our energy bodies and our physical body. um, it has the power to completely reset our energy. It has the power to move darker and denser patterns out to make room for more light. It changes us at a cellular level. And really, what it is, it's just connecting with that life force energy that runs through all things that, that animates birds, makes plants grow, keeps our very hearts beating. That's Reiki. So, yeah, it's just been a very like beautiful mystical experience for me. And it's been, it really just shows myself and others the true power that each one of us holds, and the ways that we can direct our energy to create better outcomes in our life.
Yeah, definitely Reiki, the word, the name translates to universal life force or universal energy. Yeah, for me, I'd already been exposed to Reiki before I started learning the certifications. I did some free and low-cost Reiki circles at Mind Body Spirit bookshop as a teenager, and so I'd
Oh,
experienced it.
nice.
I was not new to energy healing in that way. But it was after my walk-in that that I started learning Reiki as felt called to it as the next modality that I needed to learn for my practice. And really does go well with hypnosis because when you get into a Reiki session by yourself or with for the client too, it does
Yeah,
kind of put you in a hypnotic state. And yeah,
absolutely.
it's kind of like a download language, kind of a download energy, a universal language too within the life force
Yes.
energy. And yeah, the way I would describe it is it it heals, it clears and activates and imparts the spiritual and knowing and also physical energy that you need that the person needs. But it's like yeah, it's really kind of like a wordless energy. I could even do it with people who don't even speak good English, if they want.
Exactly.
Yeah, it can transcend language barriers.
Speaking of that, I had a very powerful session from a friend that lives in the Philippines, and it was, yeah, I was like, I'm receiving this beautiful energy, and there's so much communication going on without a word being said.
Yeah, I've used my Reiki to heal pains, physical pain in myself and others, to activate people, to clear energy blockages of all sorts, clear spaces. There's
Mm,
the list goes on and on, just like hypnosis. There's lots of ways you can apply it, just like other types of energy once you're trained in it. Um,
I always tell people there's as many ways to apply Reiki and hypnosis as there are people, because it's
yeah,
like it's endless, it's infinite. But yeah, I so much resonate with everything you're saying, Troy, about Reiki, because it totally is a download type energy, and I couldn't have put it in better words.
yeah, definitely. It's something you have to kind of experience for yourself at least once. But of
Hmm.
course, regularly and more than once helps if you want to clear something and heal something.
Hmm.
Um, Derek, before we end, would you like to give everyone a rundown of how they can get in touch with you and what you have out there that they can view?
Oh yeah, absolutely. So I have a Facebook page. It's just my name, Derrick Ivey. You can go on my website, dgtwellness.com, my YouTube channel, DGT Wellness, and email dgtransformationalwellness at gmail.com. And so I offer private mentorship for both business and healing. I do individual sessions. And then I teach Reiki, I teach spiritual hypnotherapy to professionals. So I have a development program called QSM, and that's where we all nerd out in the quantum realm. We learn the deepest hypnotic healing techniques. We learn how to do psychic communication in the causal realm, um, past life regression, soul retrieval sessions, different layers of the energy body. So basically, everything that we've talked about today is a huge, if that piques your interest, then you'll love that program. But that's what I am really loving right now is all of the people that were getting involved all over the world into this program, and teaching people how to really create amazing space for themselves and others to help our planet heal.
That is all remarkable. Yeah, you're quite an active alchemical soul. Um,
Thank you, Troy, and I feel the same about you.
you have a YouTube channel, don't you?
Just started it. Yes, it's DGT Wellness.
Very good. Yeah, I'll have to say that yeah, there are quite a few very pleasant and helpful meditations and morning meditations and reprogramming meditations that Derrick has posted on there. DG2 Wellness on YouTube. So check that out, subscribe, and I'll be sure to have all of his links and information in the description box down below if you want to get in touch with him and move forward with your journey and healing. Thank you, Derrick.
Absolutely. Thank you, Troy.
It has been quite a pleasure to interview you and talk with you today.
Same here, and I hope everyone that is listening has a great rest of your day. Just connect with the love, keep looking for the joy.
Yes, and peace to you all. Bye for now.